One of these days I should do my video from the back porch where I live, because on that back porch you can see the bird bath, and if you're lucky you'll see a bird in the bird bath, or maybe a squirrel drinking from the bird bath. And I know some of you might react to this one, but you might even see a snake drinking from the bird bath. They're harmless, these snakes that we have. They're black snakes. That's what we call them. I don't know if they have a real different name. But there's also a lot of plants out there. And then there are the birds that just fly overhead and chirp in the trees. And sure, we have the passing motorcycle and the passing loud truck and the passing sirens, but the porch is my sanctuary. It's my peaceful place. So today I'm not painting the porch. It's funny. I'm painting a picture of a peaceful place. Can you see it? And it's Innisfree. There's a poem that I'm going to read to you in this video, and it's called The Lake Isle of Innisfree by William Butler Yeats. And then there's also a song by the Celtic Woman group, and it's called Isle of Innisfree. So this place must be a beautiful, peaceful place, just like my porch. The song is written by Richard Farrelly and sung by, I love the Celtic Woman, by the way. I love the way they sound. But let's just go here, and I'll show you how I went there. How about that for a twist of words? I'll show you how I went there in this video. Ready? Here we go. All right, good morning. Let's start our picture with some water. We want to go to a peaceful place. A place I never heard about. The Isle of Innisfree. So, however, this could be anywhere. It's just that the Isle of Innisfree was the kind of the motivation, the inspiration for today's painting, today's greeting card. I mean, ultimately, the greeting card is going to go to somebody who, I don't know, just needs a little something to look at, to take them away for a miniature moment in their brain, in their mind, in their, just take them away for a miniature moment. We know what that's like. We're all human. Someplace beautiful to be. If you're living in a small place, you don't have much room for a big old picture to hang on the wall. So you get a little postcard or a little greeting card. And if it happens to be hand painted, that's even better. So that's why I'm painting this card. They work really well inside of a small apartment. Have you ever seen some of those tiny little apartments that are around the world, those tiny houses that are starting to become popular? I think houses got too big anyway. Of course, some of those tiny houses are a little too small. So it's kind of like the Goldilocks thing, I need something just right. I just need something just right. So this is the painting based on a reference photo from the Isle of Innisfree, sorry. I said it wrong, Innisfree. And the poem by William Butler Yeats. However, his poem was called The Lake Isle of Innisfree. And I was reading about the poem, and some, I guess, poetry scholars were saying that maybe his poem was not about Innisfree, but rather about a place called Church Island. So I don't know. I'm not the expert on this. It turns out I'm not an expert on much. Maybe I'm an expert on making toast. I'm probably not even an expert on that. What am I an expert at? Am I even an expert at myself? I guess, well, not necessarily, because when my sister was alive, we would talk about things from our childhood. And quite often she would say, no, you're remembering it wrong. And then she would tell me how she remembered it. So it's possible that I'm not even an expert on myself. And right now she's listening to me in heaven, she's laughing. It is funny how we sometimes remember things differently, right? So, this is our peaceful place. I went into a building the other day and was waiting, and there were paintings on the wall. To me, they looked like they were pastel paintings. They probably were. That's my guess. They were covered in glass. That's always a clue. I've done a lot of pastels myself, and you have two choices. You can either spray them with fixative, or you can put them behind glass, or both. The glass is the glass is a good idea, but at the same time, I like a painting that's not under glass. But with pastel, you somebody could easily touch it and smudge it. I love pastel. I love the way pastel looks. I've done so many pastels. I've done pastel portraits of people, and I always did them for friends and co-workers. Well, co-workers are friends, but you know what I mean. Co-workers are friends, but you don't usually, it's rare to have a co-worker, like when you leave a job. If you have a co-worker and you're still friends with them after you left the job, that's a friend, right? So, all right, we're making the sky look a little bit overcast, a little bit cloudy, because this is what is this called? The Lake Isle of Innisfree. In the poem, he talks about a cabin, but I'm not going to put a cabin in here. I'll do that another day. So that's the sky, and the lake is going to have a little bit more blue to it, I think. And the lake is going to go into the distance. And be visible from up here, wherever we're sitting. We're sitting up here someplace high. Get this lick. Painting in the lake. Get a little bit of that dark color. Bring it around. See, it's still light enough to be light. Right now it looks dark, but it's not. It's light. It's very light. It only looks dark because it's up against the white, but it'll look light when it's all done. So I want that lake to dry. Just a little bit more blue. Put a little more blue in there. So let that dry, and then I'll read to you the poem from William Butler Yeats. Okay? has to dry now, so let that dry. And the poem is called The Lake Isle of Innisfree by William Butler Yeats. This is what he wrote. I will arise and go now, and go to Innisfree, and a small cabin build there, of clay and wattles made. 9 bean rows will I have there, a hive for the honey bee, and live alone in the bee-loud glade. And I shall have some peace there, for peace comes dropping slow, dropping from the vales of the morning to where the crickets sing. There midnight's all a glimmer, and noon a purple glow, and evening full of the linnet's wings. I will arise and go now, for always night and day I hear lake water lapping with low sounds by the shore, while I stand on the roadway or on the pavement's gray. I hear it in the deep heart's core. That's the whole poem. Pretty interesting. It says here that he was born, William Butler Yeats was born in Dublin, Ireland in 1865. And it says here he died in Paris. Well, it says France, it doesn't say Paris. He died in France in 1939. And we remember him for those words, and for the curiosity about this place called Innisfree. So let's get back to painting his peaceful place. Now that the paint is almost dry, the watercolor, there's the sky, there's the lake, and now we paint in the rest of it now that it's dry. Didn't take long. So first we'll take some of this dark blue. We'll make the mountains in the background. Just make sure it's dry. It's not completely dry. Let me get my dryer. There we go. Yeah, it was a little bit still wet. I didn't want it to get wet. I mean, I didn't want to have it wet. All right, now some of these little distant hills way in the distance. Just lining the horizon. These are the distant hills. And we have some local, closer hills. And it doesn't have to be the actual Isle of Innisfree. It doesn't have to be the actual one. It doesn't have to be the perfect replication of the reference photo. I like it when you look at a painting and it can take you away. Or you can listen to a poem or a song and it can bring you someplace else. There was a song by James Taylor, and in the song James Taylor says something about build a cabin in the woods. There's something romantic, isn't there? Something desirable about living in a cabin in the woods. The only problem I've ever had with that notion, as romantic and beautiful as that sounds, is that if you live by yourself in the woods in a cabin, as peaceful as that sounds, you're not really giving to anybody else. You're not really contributing to anybody else's life. By the way, today I have tea, not coffee. It's not bad. It's chamomile. Chamomile and honey. Maybe that's perfect for this, the theme today. Maybe that's the perfect beverage for today. Let's pick up some yellow green down here. Whoops, something fell. My paint fell. Some of my paints fell. I just put a little bit of green here. I'll go ahead and put some darker green over here. Yeah, I think if you were to live your whole life in a cabin in the woods, yeah, I guess you'd be contributing to something. But you would have a hard time convincing me that you were doing the best you could do to make a difference in the world, for whatever that's worth. You know what I mean? I'm trying to get the perfect color for these next mountains. I want them to be darker and closer. And in front of these other ones. It's a little bit of blue and purple mixed together. That looks pretty good. A little bit of that foreground mountain right there. Just a hint of that one. Now over here we need some of this a bit of a darker green. Let's see if we can put some over there too. Remember, the idea is for that area that looks dark right now is to get this and this dark enough so that that looks light. That's the idea here. To get this look to look darker so that looks light. We want that to be reflecting the sky. Oh, that's a little bit too green, isn't it? Let's add some red to it to pull it down. Okay. Just mix it all together and we'll darken it as we go along. Whoops. Make it a lot darker. dark edge. Just a little hint of something along the edge there. There's our foreground trees. Just keep adding them in there. It's all impressionistic. It's all to create this illusion of a place. Somebody had written in the comments on, it was either here on YouTube or it was on the Facebook page, they were commenting on one of the demonstrations I did using digital art. And they were talking about how they appreciated me showing the dry brush technique. And I love the dry brush when I'm doing landscapes on digital. And the digital platform I use is Procreate. I will try to do more of those. It's not AI, by the way. It's digital. Any of you who do digital art, you know the frustration that is happening right now with non-artists who don't know the difference between digital and AI. It's a frustrating thing because artists are now being accused of using AI when they're not. They're painting. Digital painting is painting. You actually are doing something by hand, but for some reason there's this whole world of people who think it's AI. But anyway, the dry brush technique applies in real paint as well. It's not just a digital thing. So that's kind of what I'm doing right there. A little bit of a dry brush technique. It's kind of what I'm doing right here too. It's a little bit of dry brush. The brush is not completely dry, but it's kind of what it is. And it has such a nice effect. If you're a fan of Impressionism, if you like impressionistic paintings and drawings, and you know what I mean. This whole area here has so much going on in it. I'm gonna just keep doing it. See how the brush is kind of dry and it's not flowing like with watercolor. So I'm using watercolor paint, but I'm not really using a watercolor technique, if that makes sense. I think that's important to know. And sometimes in a competition, you might see that the judges prefer that you use the watercolor technique when you're using watercolor paints. To be honest with you, I don't understand why. Because ultimately it's about the person who sees the painting and gets moved by it in some way, taken away to a place that's a nice place, just momentarily, even if for the second it takes to look at the painting. I think it's an interesting thing. We as humans, we're so good at being able to go away in our mind. I think sometimes when you hear stories of prisoners of war and people who've been trapped for a long period of time, they will tell you that a lot of what they did to survive was in their mind. They did a lot of thinking, a lot of imagining. It's kind of very sad if you think about it, but that's usually what they say. All right, so you see what I'm saying now? What I said? What looked like dark is now looking light because it's being surrounded by dark. Just trying to make some things happen down here. A little bit of reflection in the water right there. All right, we're actually almost done. This is a pretty quick one. Just gotta get some of these little spots here on this hill. Some of the darkness will anchor to the bottom, and that's nice too. The watercolor look in that lake is awesome. I love the way that dried. Don't want to mess with it. It's perfect. So just put some stuff on the outside of it. Kind of spread some of this around, get some of that green in there. Get some green in here. Might even get away with putting some red in here. Maybe some little hints of some blossoms are happening here. No, I don't think I will. I think I'll keep it like this. I'll satisfy my desire to put some red in there by adding a little bit of purple. Use that purple to bring some of these deeper parts into the picture. So this is a song by this Celtic women. Is it Celtic? Celtic, sorry. I always confused with the two words. There's a song by the Celtic women. Celtic woman. It's called the Isle of Innisfree. It's not the same poem as the words I just read to you from William Butler Yeats. So maybe I could find that one real quickly. Let me see if I can get this. I'll put some more of that yellow green in here. And then we'll put some wisps on here after it dries. Lots of little spots. That hill in the background. I think that's okay. Let me let it dry, and then I'll look for the words to the song by the Celtic woman, the Celtic woman, singular, right? Let's see if I have it here. It says, is there a story behind the Lake Isle of Innisfree? I hear the words to the one from the Celtic woman. I hope I have it here somewhere. I don't see it there. It took me to a place on the internet. Let's see what this one does. Oh, here it goes. This is by Richard Farrelly, and the song is recorded by Celtic woman. I've met some folks who say that I'm a dreamer, and I've no doubt there's truth in what they say. But sure, a body's bound to be a dreamer when all the things he loves are far away. And precious things are dreams unto an exile. Yes, we were just talking about that. They take him over the land, across the sea, especially when it happens he's in exile from that dear lovely Isle of Innisfree. Yes, that's exactly what we were talking about. I love that. All right, let me get my thin brush here. Put a few wisps on here. A few local close wisps. And when the moonlight peeps across the rooftops of this great city, wondrous though it be, I scarcely feel its wonder or its laughter. I'm once again back home in Innisfree. Wow, do you do that? I do that sometimes, especially when I'm driving the car. Yeah, I will find myself thinking about places and times. They say that's the best thing you can do. It's not the best thing you can do. I don't know if I believe that. The best thing you can do is live in your memories. I don't know if that's true. But just want to get some of this little wisps here. And then the next line, I wander over green hills, through dreamy valleys, and find a peace no other land would know. I hear the birds make music fit the angels. I hear the birds make music fit for angels, and watch the rivers laughing as they flow. I have birds outside my window right now. I don't know if you can hear them. I love the birds. I love the way they sound. What was that other poem we had the other day where the poet, was it Ralph Waldo Emerson or one of the others? And the line was that the songs of men get old, but the songs of birds never do. It's true. You can walk through the woods and hear the birds. I'm just adding a little bit more depth to some of these things, and here's a little bit of a reflection from that one. There's the lake. Here we go. Just adding a little bit of touch, a little touch here and there to deepen it. because if you're sitting this close, you have to be able to identify some of this stuff. And if you put this up, if you put this card up in your little tiny apartment, or your little, or your camper. Yeah, if you're camping and you're putting these pictures up in your camper, and when you're sitting in your camper, you should be able to look out the window and see a scene like this. If you don't, then you gotta go do a new place. You gotta find a new place to camp. You should be able to see this scene. It's just a thought. And this tree reaches out a little bit. You have a few branches that are noticeable. All right, kids, I think we're done. I think we have another finished greeting card to share with somebody. What is the line from the poem? Maybe I could call this, instead of calling it Innisfree, because I don't really know if this is Innisfree. All right, let me fold it over. I don't know what I'm going to call it yet, but... And there we go. A nice little landscape of a somewhat overcast day. And this lake that I'm just going to figure is Innisfree, the Lake Isle of Innisfree. Why not? Why not just call it that? All right. Thanks for watching, for subscribing, for your nice comments. Wait, I'm trying to hold it right in front of the camera. All right. See you tomorrow. Have a great day.